The studio lights burned bright, the crowd buzzing with anticipation as Ellen DeGeneres, Queen of Daytime Television, prepared for yet another one of her signature interviews. But this one was different. This wasn't a pop star, a comedian, or a Hollywood darling. It was Senator Ted Cruz, someone Ellen knew she could challenge, someone she believed she could outwit on live television. The tension was already in the air before the first question was even asked. From the moment Ted Cruz walked on stage, the applause was polite but uneven, with pockets of skepticism sprinkled throughout the audience. Ellen smirked knowingly, as though she had already won whatever verbal sparring match was about to take place. She leaned in, sharp and ready. "Senator Cruz," she began, her tone sugar-coated but laced with steel, "a lot of people wonder how someone like you is so traditional. So, let's say, Regina expects to connect with a modern, diverse America. Do you ever feel like you're just a broken bar out of touch?" The audience chuckled, encouraged by Ellen's jab. She was used to getting the laugh first, setting the stage so her guests felt cornered. Most would stumble, some would deflect, but few ever came prepared to strike back. Ted Cruz didn't flinch. He leaned forward, calm, collected, with the kind of patience that unnerved Ellen more than open hostility ever could. "Ellen," he said softly but firmly, "out of touch is telling people what they should think instead of asking them what they believe. Out of touch is mocking faith, values, or traditions just because they're different from yours. My job isn't to force anyone to think like me, it's to defend their right to think for themselves." The crowd's laughter quieted, a few heads tilted. Ellen blinked, caught off guard by the measured answer. Still, she wasn't about to let him control the conversation. "So you're saying," she countered quickly, "that if someone disagrees with you on, say, marriage equality or immigration, you're just a broken bar? Okay with that? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you fought against those very people." Cruz nodded, acknowledging the weight of her point. He didn't dodge it. "I've taken stands that people disagree with, that's true," he admitted. "But disagreement isn't hate. Disagreement is freedom. If the only acceptable opinions are the ones that match yours, Ellen, then what you're asking for isn't equality, it's conformity. And conformity has never been the American way." That struck a nerve. The audience shifted uncomfortably. Some clapped instinctively, others hesitated, unsure whether they were supposed to. Ellen's smile flickered, thin and brittle. For the first time in years, she wasn't leading the room. She tried again, sharper this time. "But don't you see the harm your policies cause? Words matter, Senator. Your positions, your words, they hurt people." Cruz paused. He let silence settle for a moment, drawing the crowd into the stillness. Then he spoke with the quiet intensity that carried more power than any shout could. "Ellen, words do matter. That's why I choose mine carefully. That's why I'm careful never to call people evil just for disagreeing with me. Too many in our culture have forgotten that respect doesn't require agreement. You can love someone deeply, even while seeing the world differently. That's the America I fight for, not one where Ellen DeGeneres or Ted Cruz gets to dictate truth, but one where every voice has the right to be heard, without fear of being shamed into silence." The words hit like a thunderclap. Suddenly, it wasn't Ellen holding court, it was Cruz commanding the floor. The audience, previously laughing at Ellen's barbs, now found themselves nodding at Cruz's conviction. Applause broke out, hesitant at first, then growing stronger. Ellen shifted in her chair, her playful demeanor faltering. For the first time, she wasn't the one in control of her own stage. She forced a smile, but it didn't land the way it usually did. Cruz had turned the tables. The interview carried on, but the tone had changed. Ellen's questions grew softer, less combative. Cruz, meanwhile, remained steady, his words carrying both firmness and grace. By the time the cameras stopped rolling, the audience wasn't laughing at his expense anymore, but they were applauding his courage to stand calmly under fire. Backstage, producers whispered about what had just happened. Ellen, usually untouchable, had been rattled. She had underestimated her guest. She had expected bluster and defensiveness, but instead, Cruz had answered insult with principle, mockery with clarity, and challenge with respect. The clip went viral within hours. Social media was ablaze, and not because Ted Cruz had shouted her down or humiliated her in a petty exchange. but because he had demonstrated something rare, the ability to stand firm without cruelty, to disagree without disdain. Ellen, known for her sharp tongue, had walked into that interview expecting an easy win. Instead, she walked away facing the sting of her own underestimation. And in that moment, the message was clear: strength isn't always loud, and victory doesn't always come with cheers. Sometimes, the most powerful way to win is simply to stay calm, stand tall, and let truth speak for itself. By the end, Ellen's smirk had faded, replaced with a quiet realization. Ted Cruz hadn't just faced her insults, he had turned them into an opportunity to remind millions watching that dignity can outshine mockery, and respect can silence ridicule. It was a lesson not just for Ellen, but for anyone who believes that insults are stronger than integrity.